You look great.
You look stunning, darling.
Yeah, your outfit's stunning. We're rolling? Welcome back to another episode of In Good Company with Jeremiah and Judah. Our guest today is pretty great. I'm pretty excited.
I mean, she's like the biggest ball of sunshine, honestly.
Yeah,
like, just radiates good energy. She's faith-driven, and you're going to love it.
Raquelle Stevens is our guest today. Can we just talk about your fit today? Can we talk about the fit? It looks phenomenal.
Thank you.
Sounds different. The squeak in the shoe. That's what happens with the new loafer, though.
The new loaves, you got to break them in.
Jeremiah's fit is 10 out of 10.
So this shirt, I saw it at Departamento in downtown LA.
That's where that's from?
Yeah. And when I saw it, I was like, I knew I had to have it. I was like, that's got my name written all over it. It's just eccentric enough without being too ridiculous.
It's classy.
For me to wear.
Class.
And yeah, this is probably my most complimented shirt.
It's great.
Honestly.
Just great.
Like the way it makes me feel, like I could have a cigar in my hand, you know.
Girl on my lap.
You drive a Hemi? You know what I mean? Like I feel a little like, like Rat Pack.
You know what I was going to say? It's a classic movie.
Like a classic man.
Talented Mr. Ripley. I just lately with the mustache, guys. I have a mustache, by the way, right now. I look straight country.
No, you're going to see me a ballad as Stagecoach.
Catch me on stage 4, 20 minutes.
Like these rhinestone cowboys.
I love that song. Like a rhinestone. That's like, well, that's not country though, is it? That's like what song is that? Like a rhinestone cowboy.
No, our mutual friend is convinced he could just become a country artist because of like, it's really simple lyrics. Like Brock thinks he could be a country artist. He's like convinced of it.
No shot.
I don't like country, but my sister and her husband, Seth, have like fallen in love with it. And I was trying to give it a chance.
Yo, you like Morgan Wallen?
I do like Morgan Wallen to a degree. I like a couple of his songs. Like I like.
Do you like Leon Bridges?
I love Flower Shops. Thought You Should Know is my jam.
Thought you should know that all these prayers you thought you wasted on me.
I love that song.
Thought you should know.
You feel that song.
Beyonce, that's country. That's going to be a country album.
Is dope.
It's going to be a country album. Post Malone's putting out a country album.
Country's just a hot thing. I don't particularly just love I just don't love country.
Do you not like the twang?
Yeah, the twang bothers me.
Like that.
I mean, honestly, like what mostly they're talking about, I can't resonate with. I can't connect to.
We don't live in the South.
And I've been in relationships where like my significant other loves country. And that's all they want to play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm down for some of it, but like expand your
horizons.
Yeah, music portfolio here. Yeah.
That's one of the things someone asked me the other day. This girl asked me. She's like, "What kind of music do you listen to?" I was like, I actually do listen to everything.
Yeah, I do too.
There's not one genre that I don't love or like listen. You know what I mean? I would say the only one that I've kind of gotten away from would say rap. I like, but then I like some rap.
That's true.
You know what I like? Good music. There's good rap. There's bad rap. There's good country. There's bad country.
Absolutely.
Speaking of good music, what is the song of the week?
Song of the week is a Bad Bunny and Tiny song. Artist, producer named Tiny. And it's called Mojabegos.
Gosh, I love this song. You were playing this by the pool the other day, and I was just like,
it's an instant vibe.
How do you not just want to dance?
It's like synthy and it has a very nostalgic vintage, would you say like 80s kind of feel?
Yeah, it's incredible.
And the way Bad Bunny comes on is just like
and you were wearing your hat and your shades, and you look like Bad Bunny. This guy, just so everyone knows, Jeremiah's gone out recently, and when you have the hat and the sunglasses on, you look like Bad Bunny.
I was at Farm Shop with Judah, and the valet guy like literally screams from across the parking lot. It goes, Bad Bunny!
He's Bad Bunny!
Like dead ass thought I was Bad Bunny, and I turned to him. And he goes, "Oh, you look like a Bad Bunny."
You look like a Bad Bunny.
No, and then I was on a date at Javier's. The waitress, my date got up and go to the bathroom. I think my waitress was trying to shoot a shot. She was like, "Has anybody told you look like Bad Bunny?" And I was like, I've been getting that a lot.
Yeah, bring in the hat. Thank you to our producer Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, look at throw the glass. Bad Bunny. Is that Bad Bunny?
What a song.
Who's our guest this week? This week on the Bad Bunny.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, it's so good. So Bad Bunny, song of the week was Mojabegos.
It's just an ultimate.
It's a vibe.
It's a great jam.
It's fantastic.
Especially when the sun's out. What's your movie of the week? What have you been inspired by?
Movie of the week. I've been going through the list of things that I just really, really love. And one of my favorite performances, my favorite actor is Paul Newman. And I think one of Paul Newman's best performances is in a movie called Cool Hand Luke.
Oh, I love that movie. That scene where he has to eat like 100 eggs in one sitting.
Yeah. Nuts.
Takes him like 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool scene.
Cool Hand Luke, 1967, starring Paul Newman. Just an absolute masterpiece. There's a scene in it where he's playing the guitar and it's like a panning shot and he's emotional in it. And it's probably one of my favorite shots in cinema history.
That's my dad's favorite movie.
Cool Hand Luke?
Cool Hand Luke is my dad's favorite movie.
It's my top 5 movie for me.
That era is your era, like Brando, Newman, McQueen.
Yeah. Cool Hand Luke, please go see it. It's a really, really great movie, which is definitely a 5 stars. So let's just jump into those. 5 stars the week. What have you not been able to get enough of? I think I know yours. You've been talking about this nonstop.
I have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
I love gelato. Like, I love it. People who like argue ice cream over gelato, get out of here.
And what's the best?
Bacio de Latte. They have one in Larchmont. They have one at the Century City Westfield
Oh my God,
Mall,
it's that one?
across from Javier's.
It's that one?
Yes. If you guys
So
have
good.
not been, the pistachio gelato goes crazy. They got a passion fruit. I mean, they got everything.
I
in
always
there.
go cookies and cream gelato.
Cookies and cream.
Slaps.
It's such a classic choice, and you can never go wrong with it.
And that is the best one. That's my favorite one.
I like to do pistachio with the dark chocolate. That's my vibe. You know, especially at night when I'm like,
Yeah, gelato does slap. There's
it's
way
so
more
good.
than ice
It's
cream.
just creamy and
Yeah.
a little more elevated.
Yeah, I like old world ice cream.
As the
I like that old world gelato.
the old world, you know,
The
as the
Italian.
king of the finer things club, we got to put on for gelato.
All right, so 5 star. It is
Bacio de Latte.
Bacio de Latte, which will be in the menu, in the newsletter. Subscribe to our Patreon, and you'll get the full newsletter and the menu.
What's your
with all of our
5 star?
5 stars? My 5 star this week, I had it again for dinner. Capo in Santa Monica. It is an Italian restaurant. It's been there for like 25 years.
It's a classic.
It is
staple, institutional.
It is so
Italian.
incredible. The veal scalafini or whatever, I don't know how you pronounce that, and then the rigatoni bolognese with black truffle. It's just so incredible, and their wine list is so good.
I think they're the
Capo
best
Santa Monica.
branzino in town. I think
We got the
on that
branzino.
open fire grill.
Yeah, that's the key. Is they have an open fire grill.
What was that fucking bill, bro? Capo's might be the most expensive restaurant in
That's
LA.
not a 5 star.
That bill, I know that bill was out of control.
No, you know, like
man.
on Yelp when it has like the number thingies, or the money symbols, maxed.
It's like 4, and then they have a plus sign.
yeah. You have to you put a down payment.
This is a mini mortgage.
Yeah. But yeah, Capo Santa Monica, it is just so delicious. 5 star for sure. Yeah, I would love to do a collab with them.
One day.
Enough about us. Our guest today is Raquelle Stevens. She is an author, producer, and host based in Los Angeles, California. Her most recent work includes producing and starring in the Apple documentary Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me. And on HBO Max, the Emmy-nominated series Selena and Chef. This year, she released her best-selling book, The Sunshine Mind, 100-Day Spiritual Journey, to help readers connect to their faith and prioritize their inner life. We are so excited. Raquelle, thank you for coming.
Appreciate you having you on.
I want to get into this. The Sunshine Mind, 100 Days to Finding the Hope and Joy You Want. I dove into this week, and when I got it originally, I just think it's very funny that the first page, your day one, I'm going to read it. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and to not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
Jeremiah 29.
Jeremiah.
If that's not meant to be, I don't know what is.
Let's
That's what
go.
I'm saying.
This book is super inspiring. If you haven't read it, please go get it. There's a few things in it that I really, really loved. Lately, we've just been having a lot of communication and talking with our friends that in our same circle about serving others and being that friend that does things for other people. And day 8 is serving others. I want to expand on that a little bit and see what inspired you to, one, write the book, and then each day, the message that came with that.
So the inspiration behind the book, my co-author, Tanya Rad, who's amazing, she called me up and she had been working on a book actually about dating. And it wasn't getting picked up. And the person that had written her proposal called her and said, you know, I really feel like there's something still there. Is there a book that you've been wanting to write or something that's been on your heart? And she said, actually, I've really been wanting to write a devotional book. She said, there's so many people in my life that are struggling right now during the pandemic that feel discouraged, and my devotional book has helped me so much. She said, but I don't feel qualified to write scripture. This is Tanya saying to the woman who wrote the proposal. And she said, well, is there anyone in your life that you would want to partner with that you feel like could write scripture? And she said, yeah, my friend Raquelle, I'll ask her. So it's so interesting because I had actually had on my heart as well to write a book. And so I said yes immediately. And I think both Tanya and I, the reason that we came up with the name, The Sunshine Mind, people had said to both of us throughout our life, oh, you guys are like sunshine, or that had been a word that had been used for both of us. So we thought, what about the sunshine mind? We live in a world where there's really a lot of darkness. If you look at the news and you see what's going on, it can feel very dark. But I'm such a believer that there is way more light in the world than dark. There is so much more good than bad. So we wanted to put out something that was a message of hope, a message of joy, that used examples from our own life to hopefully help and inspire other people to, make good decisions in their own life, maybe learn from our mistakes, or maybe be encouraged by our words. So that's how the idea came about. And then we got a book deal, and it was about a 2-year process. And to go back to the service part, that day 8, the only way to live a purposeful, meaningful life is to live a life of service. And oftentimes when people think of service, they could think of, oh, well, I have to go get a job where, maybe I have to work for a nonprofit, or I have to go and, I don't know, volunteer every single day. Yes, that can be an avenue of service, but service is attainable for absolutely everyone. And I've spent the last decade plus working in the entertainment industry around people who have achieved the height of everything, fame, money, success, however you define success. And a lot of those people were truly miserable and really unhappy. And it's not to say that money or things are bad, but if you're not using that to serve and for a greater purpose, then you'll find yourself more empty and unhappy than you really can imagine. And so a lot of my purpose and what my life has really been being a friend to people and helping to guide them and give advice on how to, use their life and use their resources to live a life of service. And so,
I mean, how easy is it to serve yourself, right? Like, it's such a natural thing for us to want to just serve ourselves and not live serving others. And I think in the way things are perpetuated to us in America, it's so much of things now are like about me,
it's
like
get
this
yours.
and this, get yours. And you forget the best way to live a fulfilled life is serving others. Like, truly.
It's like if you're having a bad day or you're just in a funk, go and do something for someone else. And I have to be honest, like, I spend in my life very little time thinking about myself. Most of my time is spent thinking of others, and I'm pretty happy. Like, there's things that are hard. My life is not perfect, but overall I'm really happy because my life is others focused as opposed to self focused. There's so many different ways to serve. This podcast, you guys are putting out something that, it's making people laugh, it's making people think, it's insightful. This is a form of serving. You could do anything with your time. You're spending hours and hours having conversations, editing, you have to spend money, hire a team, do all of this stuff. It's a form of service. And in return, as this continues to grow, you will see the response from people and how much that not only fulfills you, but also the people that are listening.
The happiest people I know are the most generous friend. They're the one that will show up when you need them to. They're the one that gives you that text thinking about you. And it's funny, the more I've tried to, take those rules or take that kind of mindset into my life, my relationships have gotten better. It feels good to help other people. It's like almost like contagious. Like when I help a friend or a sibling or something, it helps them, but I also just feel so good doing it. So it's a weird kind of, it's for other people, but it feeds your soul is what it is.
But I think it's like building that awareness within yourself to not be so consumed with yourself all the time. So it feels like a natural instinct. You know what I mean? It feels like the way things are being, like, I guess, sold to us now, in 2024 and between all the social apps and everything, it can get lost, you know? And you got to carry that awareness and be mindful. Your book is so faith-driven, too, which is what I love.
It is. It's a faith-driven book. And I always encourage people who are not believers or don't have faith to find, it's not so much a spiritual practice, but to find spirituality in their life, because that is the greatest satisfaction that you will ever know. And my faith has really served as an anchor for my entire life, that no matter what is going on, no matter what is hard, even when times are really great, your faith just anchors you all the way along. So I think it's so important, for people to find that.
You said in your book it's your foundation, building your foundation on sand versus on a rock.
Yes.
And I love that.
Do you guys know that song, Firm Foundation?
I love that song. Firm Foundation is my jam.
Yeah, I love that
because
song,
they be playing that Zoe all the time.
It's so good. Yes, Christ is my
foundation. I love that song. It's
when
a great
everything
song.
is around me is shaken, I've never been more glad.
Yeah.
How can you say that without faith? When everything around you has fallen apart, I've never been more glad because I put my faith in Jesus. That's what the song says. And Jesus is the ultimate satisfier of our needs. When everything around me is shaken, when everything in our life has fallen apart, I think that's often the place where we really seek God with all of our heart. Not that we don't in our day-to-day life, but in those moments of desperation where you're like, I'm so sad, I feel so broken, I feel so confused, I feel so lost. That is where God comes in and takes us sort of by the hand and lifts our head and says, you're not meant to carry that alone, and I'm with you. And you can get through this. And it just brings this immediate peace that nothing else can bring.
It's not about who's the most valuable. It's about who's the most available. And when you're in those parts of your life, you're available, you're wanting a change, you're wanting God in your life, and you're not valuable at all, but you're available, and he can work with that. You know what I mean?
If you're building your foundation on sand, right, it can essentially crumble.
Well, if you're building your foundation on sand, it's fickle.
It's fickle.
It can go away. It's not solid. The rock on which I stand is not easily broken.
Correct.
So when your faith is built on the rock, you're unmoved by things.
100%.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite pages, actually, was your day 88. It was the thrive in your current season. And
Oh, Judah, you really read the book.
yeah, day 88,
you.
thrive in your current season. That's something I'm trying to do when things are hard. Like the season I'm in right now, I'm meant to be in this season. God is putting me right here, right now, to become stronger, teach me to be patient, to be humble. And I think that's one of your favorite days was thriving in your current season. Because
Do you
not
feel like
always
it's been a
gonna
hard
be.
season?
No, I'm in a really great season right now. But I know I was just in a tough season,
Yeah.
and I wish I do now, but like appreciate those seasons.
Yeah.
Because not every season can be super great, you know?
Isn't that funny? I had a tough, I would say October to really just around now was like a tough 5-6 months for me. And it's interesting when you look back. I'm so grateful always for those times that are kind of hard because they shape your character and they strengthen you. And you come out on the other side and you're like, wow, I'm thankful for that.
Was there a moment like when you were younger, when you were in high school or, in your early 20s, when you didn't appreciate those hard seasons or it was hard to get through them?
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago, between Chicago and England, but Chicago in my teen years. And I was dating this guy, and he was 10 years older than me. So I was always like a bit of an old soul. And so I thought, it was a serious relationship at the time. We had the same friend group. I thought, we'll end up together. And it was like a breakup that was pretty dramatic, and I was really upset about it at the time. And during that same time, my dad had got a job transfer to move to LA. And I have 2 younger brothers, and I was in college. I was in my first semester of college, so I could have stayed in Chicago. And my parents, I was so sad. I was just like crying all the time. And I'm like our friend group.
Was it your first heartbreak?
My first, and
Like,
only,
real,
and only really.
like, and only.
Well, I haven't dated since then, really.
Okay.
So at the time, I was so upset, and so it feels like the end of the world. I'm sure you guys have been there. It's like it's so devastating. And so I said to my dad, I didn't love my school. I was like, you know what? I'll move with you guys. And had I not have moved, my whole purpose was in LA. Of anywhere that I've lived, LA felt the most like home. My life since I've moved here, I could literally get emotional really thinking about it. But it has been so purposeful. It's been so meant to be. And I look at this guy that I'm like was crying over for years, and I'm like, thank you, God. That was not my path. And I love this scripture. It says, and I always tell this to friends who are like going through a tough time. They're sad about a breakup, or they're sad about a job not working out or something. It says, the Lord is a sun and a shield. For those who walk uprightly, no good thing will I withhold. And what that means is God
bars right now. Okay.
God is shining his light on us, and he is our shield, our protector.
Yeah.
When you are walking uprightly, which means on your path for you, not perfect, but you're doing the best to live life with integrity and to honor God, he will never, ever withhold what is good for you. And that doesn't mean that that person that it didn't work out with is a bad person. That doesn't mean that that job was a bad job, but it means for you and your path, God will never withhold what is meant for you.
The rejection is protection.
But that was a tough 2 years. I mean, I remember moving here, and I don't want to say I had no one because I had my family. I didn't have no one. I did not know a soul, and I am very social. I had lots of friends in Chicago, and LA is a very difficult city to get integrated into. And I would get invited to something, and I would have to show up alone and be like, okay, I'm going to this event. I would have to go and introduce myself to people and be willing to stand alone, not have anyone talk to me. And I'm so thankful for that time, but it was a tough 2 years, like lots of crying, lots of seeking God. And I actually put a 1-year timeline on it. I said, God, I'm so sad. Like, if this is where I'm meant to be, I pray that I would make the best friends I've made in my life and that you would make it clear, or I'm moving back to Chicago. And that year was a great year.
Really?
Yeah.
But that also that hard season, that turned you into the confident woman that could walk into anywhere and meet people.
Well, yeah, it creates tenacity and grit and resilience in you to keep going. And it does give you a confidence when you're like, okay, I know no one.
You have to lean into it.
You got to lean into it.
You have to lean into it. You have to feel all of it. You have to work through it, because if you just compartmentalize it, which is what I had done previously, eventually it's going to find you. Like all these years of bearing your feelings and, like, man, we don't cry, we don't have feelings. I think I was like definitely a product of that. Like, I hadn't cried up until like not too recently. I hadn't cried in like 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and my sister had never even heard me cry before. So I remember like calling her, and I was just down, and so many things in my life were happening kind of all at once. I truly think it was God protecting me. I remember calling her, my sister was like, was freaking out. Because she's like, Jeremiah, I've never heard you cry.
How did it feel to cry after 20 years?
Honestly, in that moment, I thought it was about just this specific incident or this specific thing in my life. And then through therapy and through, I think, learning about myself, I realized, like, no, this is like years and years of me just bearing how I feel, bearing like all these emotions that I've had and not dealing with stuff and, compartmentalizing, moving on, just moving forward. I've always been like, I'm just moving forward. My sister, me and her have a mutual kind of best friend. When God bless her, she had a dinner here in LA. It was like 9:00 at night. It was raining, it was cold, and I was just beside myself. And she called our mutual friend. She's like, hey, I need you just to leave your dinner and go see my brother right now. She came up to the house and spent like literally till 4 a.m. just like holding me. Like, that's how, you know what I mean? So I always have so much love for her. What a great friend. Awesome friend. And I always have so much appreciation for her. I'm so grateful in that moment that I had a person to show up for me. A lot of people don't. A lot of people just sit in that loneliness and, can compound and compound. If you don't have the right tools, it can be a really, challenging and hard thing for you to come out of.
Yeah, you're very lucky to have her in that time.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, this is before like faith was a big part of my life. I kind of got disconnected through college. I almost became a theology major, and it pushed me out of religion. It pushed me out of my faith. I was kind of grown up in the Baptist church through my family, and I think for someone who's in this season and faith is foreign to them, what tools would you want to give them, or how would you maybe go about equipping yourself in the right way to deal with these challenges?
It's a great question. So I think it looks different for everyone. I think that I'll tell you what works for me, and then I'll give some suggestions that aren't as much for me, but I know have worked for other people. I listen to a lot of worship music, and praying for me has become, I've been doing it for so long that it's now like breathing. I don't set aside a time, like 10 minutes I'm going to pray. It's like all day, every day I'm in the car. I pray in the spirit. So I'm just like, I have my worship music on, I'm praying. I'm in it. I do a lot of beach walks. I'll go drive down to the beach, living in LA, that's easy. Some people, meditation. I know prayer is a form of meditation, but for some people, they like to put on like actual meditation music and get into that peaceful state. Some people like breath work. So I think it's different for everyone. But if you're talking about, it's more spirituality, but if you're talking about faith, I think that you can start really simply and just, follow a guide like mine,
I was going to say,
100
this is
days
like
to
a
finding the
perfect
hope and joy
example
you
of
want.
what you could do.
Yeah, and you just take one day at a time. There's a scripture or there's a challenge or a prayer at the end, and just start that way. And again, to go back to the verse I mentioned earlier, if you seek me, you will find me when you seek me with all your heart. So go in open, ask God to meet you exactly where you're at, and he will.
Your book is really like a playbook for inner peace, I think. I think there's so many different, everyone goes through different things and you feel different things and some things apply to you, differently. And your book has a way of kind of highlighting just all, different various, ways you can deal with all these different emotions that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly.
what I really love with it is, like you're talking about, like the seeking thing. I think if you look for it, you'll find it. With good and bad things.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the negative in a situation, you'll find it.
So true.
Because you're looking for it.
So
if you're
true.
looking for a reason why this person's a bad friend or a bad sister or whatever, like, you'll find reasons.
Yeah.
Rather than, I think, something like this is kind of guiding you to find the good things in all of it. The moments to be grateful. And I think that is just probably one of my favorite reasons and parts of the book, is just training your mind to look at things in a positive way, which is hard to do at times. It's hard to look at everything that you go through with gratefulness.
What's your symbol of hope?
It's a great question. Well, my hope, number one, is in God. And secondly, it's in people. That's what gives me hope, is community, is that next generation that we are hopefully leaving a better world for.
Yeah.
And the hope, the ultimate hope, is eternity. So if we're living always with that in mind, that what we do in this life does matter, that our souls are eternal forever, then how we treat people in this life is what matters. But that's the ultimate hope.
Hope is, it's crazy how at times, I mean, it's seasons, I guess. And at church this week, the pastor said, and it really resonated, that like fear is a lack of faith, and hope is that same kind of faith. So
I love that saying where it's fear and it spells it out, and it says fear is false evidence appearing real. So it's the things we're telling ourselves in our mind, right? Like anxiety. Gosh, I'm so nervous about tomorrow and seeing this person, and you're going through the scenario in your head. It's false evidence.
It's not
appearing
real.
To you. It's not real.
It's crazy. Some of the things that I've had anxiety about or fear for something to happen never even happens. The anxiety that I got from it was from something that never materialized.
Yeah.
So controlling that is, I've been trying to do that more, because half the things that I worry about never even come to fruition.
You're like, okay.
So why did I worry about that thing for so long for it to never even happen?
So are you like book author by day, like food connoisseur, cook show host, by night? Like,
oh, it's all so funny the way that it all came about. Talk about surrendering your life to God and just being like, okay, you take control and I'll just say yes to your plan. So 3 facets to what I'm working on, and we can get into the food stuff. So I work project-based with Selena Gomez, and we have a cooking show together called Selena and Chef. She is the chef, I am the sous chef. And
you have the best job in the show, low key, because
I got really lucky.
I mean, you and I have the same job when he cooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's a big cook.
I love
He's a
the
chef.
cook. It's a form of service.
It is food might be the ultimate form of service.
Hey, listen, I certainly haven't done everything right in my relationships, but that was always a big thing for me to show you, because maybe I am lacking in other areas, and I was always like, man, how do because I'm kind of quiet and I don't really tell you how I'm feeling all the time. Cooking for me was my way of showing you, like, yo, I love you. Like, this is like,
that's so sweet.
I've always, even for my friends, like I cook for them all the time.
But I'm the sous chef.
They'll call me and be like, hey, can we have dinner
So
at
if your
house?
girlfriend was mad at you, you would be like, I'm not going to say anything, but like, I made you this banana pudding.
And it's burnt.
Banana bread with like a passion fruit butter. I just made it.
If you and your girl are fighting, that bread, overcooked. Enjoy that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
anyway, that's amazing.
the cooking show was birthed out of the pandemic. So it was Selena and I cooking in her kitchen, and then the chefs were cooking in their kitchen, and we were learning over a TV screen from all these amazing top chefs. Nancy Silverton, Gordon Ramsay. He actually showed up in person, which
Really?
was our. Yeah,
He's such
that
a
was great. It
badass.
was crazy. He's
Like,
a badass.
Gordon
but that
Ramsay's
was
a
like
badass,
that was
man.
season
Is
3.
Gordon Ramsay the one that Trevor's seeing his daughter? Is that Gordon
No,
Ramsay?
that's Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay.
I like Bobby Flay too. Y'all got to have him
We're
on.
gonna have him on. Anyways,
Yeah.
we've cooked with so many amazing chefs, and So the show went on for 4 seasons, all virtual, except for Gordon Ramsay, who showed up season 3. We were in Malibu. He was close by. He was like, I'm going to ring the doorbell. There he was.
That's so
he
cool.
yelled at me the whole episode. He said, Rachel. He kept calling me Rachel. He's like, Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. I'm like, I'm trying.
I mean,
Does that look
He said,
minced
"What
to
are you
you?
doing?"
Rachel, does that look minced?
Yeah.
I don't know, Gordon.
Very funny. He was
the
great.
meatloaf.
Yeah. The
I love
accent
I love
was
this. Yeah.
epic.
What are you? I'm an idiot sandwich. Have you seen that one?
No, that's what
He
he
puts
said.
the bread on this girl's head. He puts the bread here and he goes, "What
No
are you?" She
way.
goes, "I'm an idiot sandwich."
That's so funny.
He's a
so
madman,
funny.
like in like the best way. Like you can see why he's like so good at what he.
Oh yeah, his energy is contagious.
It is.
He's brilliant. And then the show was finished. We'd done 4 seasons on HBO Max, and then Food Network picked it up for a 5th season. So we had 4 holiday specials that came out, and then our next season came out actually May 2nd, and it's now Selena and Restaurant.
Oh,
And
so
we
now you're
are-
going.
Now we're in the restaurant, guys, and it was crazy.
Wait, with other people or like the
Yeah.
whole thing is empty
We were at Cut with Wolfgang Puck's restaurant with
at,
Wolfgang
at the
Puck.
Beverly Wilshire Hotel? Yeah, I love,
Beverly
I love
Wilshire.
that.
And, we're cooking with him. And then at some points, we're just left alone in the chef's kitchen. And I cannot tell you the amount of respect I have for chefs. I mean, you've got this oven that is just the hottest oven you can imagine. So you're sweating. I spent a lot of time in the fridge, in the
walk-in?
in the walk-in, because I was getting so hot. Selena would be like, "Hey, I'm going to take a little break," and I was going to the fridge.
You're on a shift. You're taking my 5.
Yeah, I'm taking a break. So I got really familiar with the walk-ins.
Has anybody seen Raquelle? She's in the fridge.
Yeah, every
you'll see it on the
walk-in-
show. I'm in the fridge a lot of the time.
A lot of fridges. Most
A
of
lot
the
of the time.
restaurants that I've seen, a lot of them have a photo of Christopher Walken, and it just says Walken on the fridge.
Oh,
That's funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's clever.
So now it's Selena and Restaurant. We're now in season 5. I mean, the show's been going on since 2020. We're in 2024. So it's sort of the gift that keeps on giving. I mean,
Has your palate like evolved and changed through these last several years of the food?
My palate has absolutely evolved. And
Yeah.
I've learned so much about what goes into cooking. Like, I didn't know, have you ever had mole?
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
mole.
I love mole, but I didn't know there was chocolate in mole and like 40 other ingredients.
There's like 40 to 50 ingredients
Yeah.
in mole.
Mole is the darker sauce they put on
Yeah.
a burrito, right? On Mexican with Mexican
Yeah.
food.
Not just burritos. It can just be a variety of
I
things.
think I had a mole.
It's really good with chicken.
mole.
Chicken
Mole is amazing. That's what we
So
made
good.
Yeah.
actually, and it's so good. But
Do they
that's
tell you
been-
where it's? I think they use it a lot in Oaxaca. Like,
They
I think
do. Yeah,
it's
they
a
do
very,
Oaxaca. You know
like-
your food.
Yeah, I do know my food. I don't
Oaxaca's
mess
the place.
around. Yeah, Oaxaca's.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not just a pretty face. This
Nah.
guy.
Take that too. I'm like-
So yeah, we ate so much yummy food. I've learned so much. My palate. I love spice. The more that time's gone on, I actually really like spicy food.
Yes,
I love spicy
me
food.
too. Out of the whole show, what's like one of the meals you made where you're just like,
You're not going to believe this, but every single meal we made has been amazing. Because now there's certain things I like personally prefer more than others, but because we're learning from such great chefs, everything's turned out
It's
really,
incredible.
really great. Yeah.
Do you go out a
Sounds
lot?
so
Like,
fun.
do you have a favorite restaurant in LA?
Yeah, I go out all the time. I eat. This is so like cliche, but I eat at Matsuhisa all the time, and it's consistently amazing. And I like that I get the beef toban, and I love that I get extra onions with the beef. So I
You're a
like
big sushi girl.
big sushi girl, but I like the mix. I like the meat and the yellowtail jalapeno, thin slice, no skin.
This dude just scarfed down a box of sushi before you got here.
yep. You know what I love at
Sushi guy.
Matsuhitsu
What?
is the oyster shooters. Wow. And people don't. It
haven't
has
had
like
the
it has a
oysters
quail egg in it.
Yum.
No, it's like swallowing a big ass booger. I
No, it's
swear.
so
No,
good.
they made us order it. It's like $40.
hilarious.
It's like $40 a shot.
It's
you guys.
Yeah,
delicious.
it's not cheap.
No,
No, they're
Matsuhisa is
so,
not cheap.
They're so good though. The oyster shooters with the quail egg are so.
the
yummy.
texture is disgusting. Do not take this.
Oh yeah,
I'm
we
not
took.
gonna-
we
I'm not
took
gonna
him-
dive into that side
We
of the
took him to
menu.
sushi, and Jerry made him try uni.
I never had it.
He did not like the uni. Leaving your face right now.
You got to work your way into the fish.
Yeah.
I love it.
World.
Sushi is like I absolutely.
I'm
love it.
trying.
I'll try.
I'm
anything.
trying. I'm not like the biggest sushi guy. I like it, but it's the last thing on my mind when I think I want to go out to eat.
What's
food.
the first thing on your mind?
Mediterranean food?
Oh, I
Like,
love
I want to go to
Mediterranean
Safi's.
food.
I want to go to Bevel.
I like Bevel.
Carousel. I just want to. anything that's
Yeah.
Mediterranean, you had me at hummus.
Mediterranean would be up there for me. And it's the healthiest. Mediterranean is the healthiest diet.
Yeah, there's not a lot of you can go through the whole meal without having bread, really, if you want.
And then Italian is just like so comforting and warm.
great.
It's just
Italian's
like,
mine.
I speak an Italian accent when I'm cooking. Like, I can't even help it. I'm infatuated with Italian
I
culture.
went to Capo. I went to Capo this week. Have you been there?
To Cabo?
Capo.
Capo.
C-A-P-O.
No.
Best meal you'll ever have in LA.
Yeah, Capo's
It
pretty
is.
bomb.
It's Italian. We had the veal scallopini. Is that how you say it?
Maybe.
Send me the name
sure,
after this.
just-
I'm
oh
going to try it.
I went with Jerry.
Yeah.
The best. Italian's like
Wow.
my top one. I can eat Italian food all the time. It's Italian and then Mexican food. Those are like my favorites.
Also, Jeremiah, just to go back, so now not only are you cooking in the kitchen, you're doing accents in the kitchen.
Yeah, I just have this weird thing.
Is it exclusive to Italian, or are you doing like...
No, it's pretty exclusive to Italian.
Okay, so it's not like
Can we get
every
an
cuisine you're
example?
getting an accent.
I can't tell you why I do it. My family makes fun of me for it. We went to Italy, some summers back, and I just kept talking with an Italian accent. And I was driving my sister crazy. But it came in handy. It came in handy because what happened was we went to a, kind of local, restaurant, and my brother's fiance was trying to order milk in her coffee.
Okay.
And she kept looking at the guy and she was like, hey, milk, I need cream in my coffee, cream.
And you're like, leche.
And the guy is sitting there and he's like, cream, I don't know. And I looked at him like dead serious. I looked at him like stared in his eyes, into his soul, and I go, it's a milky. And he goes, milky. Yes. So now my whole family, we have this running joke. Like we have people like just will hit a group chat and be like, it's a milky.
That is hilarious.
And from then on out, I'm like, I'm justified. You know what?
Oh,
You
and-
are, you're so
And you have the good
justified.
Italian hands.
Yeah, I just gotta.
Okay.
And the way I did it, I was like, it's a milky.
That is so funny.
We shared a moment. It was dope.
We shared a moment. If you were stuck at a restaurant for the rest of your life with 5 people, who would the people be and what restaurant are you choosing?
Oh, for the rest of my life, I got to pick my 5.
Yep.
That's a hell of a question.
And where? What restaurant?
We are at, I'm not going to say Matsuisa. That
No.
would be horrible. It's got to have a view.
And you gotta think about like different meals too. Like can't have sushi.
It's
for
got to have
breakfast.
variety. The pressure is on, guys.
That's a tough one.
Or one.
I got to,
One's can't do
one,
it.
it would just be Ashley. She, like,
Oh, so we do know.
One restaurant.
one restaurant, I'm stressed.
One restaurant to
Like,
rule them all.
y'all doing like Baldy or like?
I think I'm just going to be at Nobu. I'm going to be
That's
in Malibu.
fair.
I'm going to be on the ocean, and there's variety. I can get sushi. I can get the meat. I can get the chicken.
The pretty good breakfast at Nobu, right?
The breakfast, not so much.
Hey, we're fasting these days, right?
yeah,
Who's eating breakfast?
As long as I have a good coffee, I'm set.
Yeah.
Oh my coffee connoisseur.
Don't
Are
get me
you a
started
coffee
on-
fan? Because he is a coffee connoisseur.
Judah, I could cry about coffee. Like, do you see a tear in my eye right
No,
now?
me too.
My eyes are watering. I love coffee with all my heart.
No, I love
like,
coffee with all
the
my heart.
amount of joy that coffee brings me every single morning, anywhere around the world, I will hunt for a good coffee. I will go on an hour and a half, 2-hour excursion for a good cup of coffee.
You're preaching to the choir.
I'm obsessed.
Like, seriously,
It means so much to me.
He
It
will get a
does.
coffee. He'll get a coffee, taste it, toss it.
Same.
You're the same way.
I hate to admit, I've never admitted that on the record, but yes, I will.
Listen,
if it's
Or
not
I have
good.
to get it remade. It will, yeah,
Okay.
I need,
So how is it being on sets? Because on set you're getting whatever coffee they have available. Will you just not drink it?
I've been pretty, yeah, I'll usually get a coffee on the way to set.
Because set
Or like
coffee's
I
not
was
good.
on set in Paris once and they randomly had this amazing barista on the set. So I got really
What?
lucky. Yeah, I have a
I
picture
love a good
of it.
barista.
Yeah,
On
respect
set? That's
for the
phenomenal.
baristas
Respects for the baristas
out there making people happy every day.
Really, what's your coffee order?
An iced vanilla latte, tiny bit short on the milk. Not short enough for it to be a cappuccino, not quite full enough for it to be a full latte.
And which iced vanilla latte in town has your heart?
I rotate. Right now, I'm getting coffee at Civil.
I like Civil. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
rock with
enjoying it.
Civil.
But I
Yeah.
go to, there's another place called Red Window that's temporarily been shut down.
Rats. No, I'm playing.
I'm laughing just because it's embarrassing how much coffee is a part of my life. It's really bad.
I feel like it's such a.
I've been sad about the shutdown of Red Window.
We gotta cut this. It's too much right now.
It's like one of those things that you have for yourself. It's like your little, and it's like a great way to start your day. It's
It's my heart.
It gets you going and kind of brings happiness. It brings happiness to me.
Yeah.
I go to
definitely a
every coffee
ritual.
shop in town.
Listen, guys, if I have coffee, my worship music, and I'm in my car and I have my phone, I can call people I love. That to me is just bliss. It doesn't get better
Seriously.
than that.
Right, she drinks a couple of sips and she's just off with the Christ is my friend. I already know.
With that coffee,
Oh my gosh.
firm foundation.
Right?
That's
With the
actually
coffee.
it. And I do sing in the car.
Oh, I'm a karaoke guy. You think I'm
Yeah.
got a full concert going if you see me.
You know who's your number one car karaoke? Like you're in it.
Bruce Springsteen or Tina Turner.
Oh my, you give me some Bruce. Literally on the way over
I
here,
love
I
Bruce.
was going
Who's
amazing.
Yeah, I
Who's
love
your
Bruce
car
Springsteen.
karaoke
Like who do I play the
artist?
most?
Yeah, who are you gonna like be belting in the car to?
I mean, I
like?
was belting on the way here to Bruce Springsteen.
You were?
Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? Did he go and leave you all alone? I got a bad desire. Oh,
Have a
I'm
confession.
on fire.
I've never heard a Bruce Springsteen song in my life.
Born in
couldn't-
the USA.
Judah. He's never heard of a Bruce Springsteen song.
Born in the USA.
Oh my gosh.
You don't know what if I sing that, nothing registers in your brain?
Is that
Secret
bad?
Garden. Did you ever see Jerry Maguire?
I love Jerry Maguire.
Secret Garden, the theme song of Jerry Maguire is Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure like by a byproduct
Yeah.
of me like just
Me
watching a movie.
in Atlantic City. No?
Nah, man. I just
Dance-
missed rock. I missed rock. I told you. I told that.
Dancing in the
Yeah.
Dark.
Maybe with a
That's cool.
dancing
That's a cool title, man.
in the dark. No?
No, it sounds cool though.
Yeah.
I'll give it a listen.
I will belt Bruce, but then I also, there's other ones that I'm probably embarrassed to even like say, like, I can buy myself flowers. I will jam to some
Oh, wow.
Miley.
I love
that.
Miley,
Miley's,
man.
I will
guys,
Don't feel
Miley's
embarrassed. I love
amazing.
Miley.
I love the raspiness and the rawness of her voice. Have you seen her cover of Jolene?
I was literally about to say that. It's so incredible.
So
It's
amazing.
so good. Jolene, Jolene. I can't sing, by the way.
I
Miley's just
remember-
got this like badass
I remember,
attitude, sexiness. She's so cool.
I love her.
she's one of my favorites.
If you had to pick a friend that would karaoke with you in the car, like who's a friend that if you're in the car, you can both
definitely
just
not
do your
Ashley.
thing.
The
Really?
friend I was just talking about. Definitely not her. Selena.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys would just be putting on a song and just
Well, we
going
have
for
different tastes in music, so she'd be like, we'd be like, turn that off or whatever. We'd maybe go back and forth on what song, but yeah.
I mean, speaking of your friend group, I feel like that's so important to
Yeah.
have, kind of have that like foundation of friends here, that community of friends here. And I think how have you been able to construct or, surround yourself with the right people?
Well, it is so important. And actually, I was thinking on the way over here, I love the name of your podcast, In Good Company, because I think that's really the goal of life is to be in good company with people. And I think a couple of things. I think that you have to be intentional about the people that you let in close. I have a lot of friends. I have a few friends that I love deeply and that I let in on the most personal things in my life. And that takes time. That's not an overnight thing. That's developed over years of relationship with someone. You look for character traits in people that you admire, and integrity is a huge part. And you have to look at when you're first meeting someone, okay, who's in their circle? How do they treat people around them? How do they treat themselves? How people treat themselves is a huge indicator of how they will treat you. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems of our time, actually, is finding good friends. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but the Surgeon General came out with a report last year that we are in a loneliness epidemic. And that is so heartbreaking because we are more connected than ever, but we are so disconnected. And if I ever did another book, I would do a book on friendship because I believe in it so much. And it's been the biggest joy of my life is being a friend. So I would encourage anyone that's listening that is looking for friends or is looking for better friends to First of all, you have to put yourself out there a bit. Again, I mentioned when I first moved to LA, you have to be willing to stand alone. You have to be willing to reach out. You have to be willing to introduce yourself to people and look them in the eye and find that common ground. And then once you do, you start looking for those character traits that you admire. People of integrity, people that are going to have your back, people that are also living purposeful, meaningful lives. Those are my favorite kinds of people. I like people that are movers and shakers. And another thing that I do as well, I surround myself with people much further along in life than I am. I am inspired by people who are doing stuff, risk takers.
I told Judah, I was like, my dad used to say, you are who you hang with.
Yep.
Surrounding yourself with people who you find, inspiring. And I think it's really interesting for you, because I actually was thinking about this on the way over here, is that some of your friends are very well known.
Yeah.
Obviously Selena Gomez is one of, most popular persons on the planet.
Yeah.
How are those pressures when anything goes wrong? Like, she has like a Selena army, like this mob of people that support them and diehards, and like they can just not like anything about you just on any given day for whatever reason, and bully you. And I'm not saying these things have happened, but I'm just
they have.
And how are you able to keep yourself safe, and kind of keep your inner peace and kind of have that perspective of that's it's real, but it's not real.
Just block out the noise.
Yeah.
Well, again, that goes back to faith, and it goes back to knowing who you are. So there's a couple of things. Anytime you're doing anything public with your life or you're public adjacent, you will be subject to criticism. It's not a matter of, maybe people will like you or not like you. There is always going to be people that will not like you. So you have to become comfortable with that. And that saying, like, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
If you can't take that and you know yourself, then do not do anything public. And that's okay. So that's part of it. I know who I am. I was
literally about to say, you got to know who you are.
I know who I am. When the Selena's documentary, My Mind and Me, came out, I got criticized massively in a public way. And, I knew to a certain extent that would come. This was a documentary that I was heavily featured in, and it was going out to millions and millions of people. And it featured a lot of, us being real friends, which is telling the truth, being honest with each other, and people can take things a certain way. And is it a nice feeling? No. But
you didn't let it affect how you felt about yourself.
You didn't lose sleep over it.
No, I didn't. And I think that I don't respect anyone that's spending their time being a troll on the internet.
Right.
And I also think that it's important for people to know that in something like, take a 90-minute documentary, for example, you're seeing a small glimpse into someone's life.
Cut and edit and cut and edit and cut.
To make it be the most dramatic.
Then you got all these keyboard warriors, just talking shit.
Keyboard warriors.
That's what they are.
That's hilarious.
Talking shit.
And it's okay. You just, you let it bounce right off of you. The things that really affect me in life are if something's happening with someone close to me. I went through a situation with two of my close friends last year. That was when we got through it. Thank God. That was devastating to me. That was hard. Strangers who I don't know having opinions about me, that just is part of a somewhat public life, or being attached to someone that is a huge public figure. And so I'm okay with it. It really bounces off of me, and you keep it moving. As long as you're living your life with integrity. I will say, if you're being criticized publicly and you are not living a life that is full of integrity, and you're treating people badly, and you're just not living right, then I think you have some things to be worried about.
Yeah,
and
there's
maybe you should be
to it,
criticized a bit. But if you know who you are and you're living well, then let it bounce right off.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm obviously I'm a big fan of. Like, if you don't have my number, you probably don't have a strong opinion on me, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes where I see like celebrities that are mean to people in public. I'm just like, dude, be nice. Like, why you gotta be mean? Like, you signed up for people to be in your face asking you for autographs.
Have bad days.
You know what I mean?
People have bad days, and you gotta. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Lead
But you
with
got to
grace
make your
and-
inner life really strong. I've talked a lot about that with the book. Like, your inner life has to be rock solid, back to the rock. And when your inner life is strong, you are not moved by the external. Yes, you have feelings. You're human. It's not
Naturally,
nice.
right.
No one wants to read mean comments about themselves. But you know who you are.
Okay, so that kind of goes into one of the other days I really loved. which I think it'll apply to
From
me.
the book?
Yeah, from the book for you and I dating. I think it was day 42. Prioritize character over chemistry.
Why did I know you were going to pick one of the dating elements from the book? I knew you were. I knew you were ready to get into it.
It resonated. Okay.
I feel you.
I see, like, character over chemistry.
Yeah.
I say that because my last girlfriend, long list of red flags on the character side. Really pretty though, and I'm not trying. Stop laughing at me. I'm trying to be open here. Gotta be vulnerable.
I'm just listening.
How do you? Because you guys
That was
wrote
very
it.
vulnerable, Judah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh shit! No, thank you, Judah.
You too,
I'm,
Mr.
Judah was
Nobody needed this.
prioritizing chemistry over character.
I was prioritizing
this is real.
chemistry over character. How can I prioritize character over chemistry? I feel like the lust and the chemistry part of it gets in the way and clouds it for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's so real. Okay, this is the thing. I'll tell you what
Thanks for letting me be
I'll tell you
open.
what I'm looking for. Maybe this will resonate with you, and I'll tell you all my thoughts on that. I would like a partner. And before I say that, there's no lack. So if I never met anyone for the rest of my life, I have amazing friends, life is good, and there's challenges that come with everything. Relationships are challenging. There can be challenges that come from being single. There's challenges when you have kids. And so you really have to accept wherever you're at in life and be content. Yes, have wants and desires, but at the end of the day, surrender them to God and enjoy, the season that you're in. Okay. In a partner, it's 3 things. It is mind and body and soul, spirit. Soul and spirit are the same thing. And when you talk about chemistry, that part, you're talking about the body part of things. And I think that a lot of men, Judah's not alone, guys.
No, definitely
You'll
not.
be like, I actually heard a guy today when I was getting coffee, I overheard him. He was talking to a matchmaker. And
Like a hitch?
I don't know what was going
A
on. I sat down
matchmaker?
because I got a croissant too. Usually I just get my coffee and I go, but I sat down.
Was it Albert
and-
Brenneman?
Albert Brenneman from Hitch?
That would be so epic.
It was like Kevin
And
James.
he said to the matchmaker, he said, I want someone physically fit. He said, what are you looking for in a woman? And he said, I want someone physically fit. She said, okay, well, explain more of what you want. I'm thinking he's going to get into, well, also, the character, hardworking. He says, like someone that doesn't just do Pilates. He said, I'll meet these women and they say, I'm fit, I'm doing Pilates. And he said, no, that's your girl time. You're going to Pilates. He said, I want someone like physically fit, running. Dude, and I'm thinking, this is so interesting. Like,
Has he never been on a mega reformer? Does he not know how difficult Pilates is?
I know. Anyways, my point is that I think there's a lot of men like you, right? So it's the body part where they're like, well, she's just hot, so I'm going to date her. And absolutely, chemistry is an important part. You have to be attracted to someone. You can't really be in a relationship if there's not attraction there. But that can fade over time. And if you're looking for something long-term, people can get sick, like you get old together. So yes, that has to be an important part. But you need to look at those 3 things. The mind, that means you're aligned in values, purpose, how you treat people. These are important things to think about, guys. If your values are to like make a difference in the world and to, do this podcast and help people, and you're with a girl that doesn't care about any of those things and is like, I don't really want to, live a life like that. I don't really care about people. That's going to be a conflict at some point because you're merging your lives together. So it's a really big deal. So your mind, you have to be aligned in that way. And then there's other things like humor is important. You have to have the fun things too. But the fundamental, what are your values? Who is that person? That's important. That's the mind. Body is physical attraction. And the spirit trumps the other 2. When you are spiritually connected to someone and you truly see them for who they are and you love their soul and you have a connection where God is at the center of your relationship, that is going to sustain you beyond this lifetime. That is a forever.
The mind part is really interesting too. It's something I didn't even really have awareness of like, what are my values? What are these things that what is my purpose? I think we just like, oh, this girl's beautiful and
I think to
she's
be honest,
cool. I get along with her, and then it's almost as simple as that for me at times. And I think over the last, 16 months, I've really had, through work, I've had to build an understanding of myself and wait, what does Jeremiah want? Wait, what are my values?
You know what's interesting though? I see with men that it happens the older they get. I've not really met a guy in their 20s or even really in their early 30s that has been like, oh, some, but it's not the norm. That's like, oh, I really want to meet someone that has values and that's important to me. And I think that, yeah, I think it happens like a little bit later.
You gotta go through some shit first.
That's what I was gonna
You
say.
do.
You almost have to. The only way I found that out was by being in a really rough place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to feel this way ever again. How can I do things within myself and change? And then in my next relationship, find someone that has these characteristics. So I never go back to that feeling. It was such a bad feeling that I never want to be back there again.
I've been there.
But it's good.
Yeah, it is
It's good to be like, oh, I know this is not what I want. And to, take action. And like you said, on the next relationship, make sure that the mind, body, spirit is good. Not just the body. I take someone who's spiritually fit over physically fit, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I plead the fifth. Was that? I mean, listen, but we have a mutual friend. He says something really interesting to me and Judy. He's extremely smart. We've had him on the pod, named Ahmed. He goes, pain is the shepherd of destiny. And when he said
that gives me chills. I love that.
Oh, I sat with that for days. I felt that down on my core, like truly. And
you plunge.
With a light bluish hue.
Light bluish.
Dancing off from just now.
Have you seen that?
No.
He's found it down with Will Ferrell.
I love Will Ferrell.
Off my plums is hilarious.
Guys.
Oh, so good.
Oh man.
But that saying is, dude, the shepherd.
I felt that.
Well, the shepherd is the guide. So it's like
I just get, now I got the plums in my. I felt that in my plums.
Yeah, I can't, bro. I'm done. So well done.
You two.
It was good.
Perfect.
I'm happy for you guys.
I debated it for about 3 seconds because it was like a real moment.
You had to go there. You're like,
I'm gonna show you the video after we're done. You'll be like,
excited. I was saying that the shepherd is the guide, and I love that quote. The pain guides you into that destiny.
It does.
That's what it did for me.
It's the pain that has, I don't know, made me really go for things, to take risks. You know.
It reconnected me to my faith. It helped me build an awareness of myself. It's surrounded me with a better community.
When you talk about reconnecting with your faith, what was that process like for you?
Honestly, it was as simple as Jerry Main, our all mutual friend who's on our pod, reached out to me at a time in my life where I was just going through a lot. And he goes, yo, how are you? And I was super honest. I was like, man, I'm not doing good. And he goes, yo, pull up on me. He goes, like, let's have lunch. We have lunch. He goes, why don't you come to Zoe Church with me, January 1st? And I was like, all right. And I pulled up.
You called me. You said you want to go.
I called him. Said, you want to go?
Aww.
New Year's Day, right after New Year's. We
When was this?
January 1st of 2 years ago.
Okay.
Over a year. Yeah.
So
yeah,
cool.
about a year and a half ago. And he goes, I remember I hadn't been in church in forever. I'm sitting there, and Chad does this, end of a sermon, he does this thing where he's like, you want to say yes to faith, right? You want to say yes to God. Put your hand up. If you know me, like I'm very quiet. I'm always I don't want to put my hand up for anything. You know what I mean? Mm. I put my hand up. I'll never forget. Someone put their hand on my shoulder. Oh. Someone behind me, like someone I did not know. Almost like, I got you. Like, you have this now. Wow. You have this community now. And it's such a, I think a pivotal point in my life, honestly, truly. And so, that's how I got reconnected to it. Because at Georgetown, I was on a road of almost majoring in theology, and I was just given so much information. And I think rightly so, like, I was just questioning things and asking questions, and I think that's part of your journey. Yeah. It led me to where I'm at now, right? So it was awesome.
My favorite part of that day was Chad said, if you're skeptical, give him a year and watch what God can do in your life. Facts. And the year that you had,
it was a blessing. It was a blessing. It was an incredible year. I was in.
It was just amazing. It was so incredible. How different is your life now?
Significantly different.
Compared to before.
One, the community that I've been surrounded with. Since reconnecting with my faith, like my whole community has changed. The people around me in my life, I think to your point, like I have a lot of people in my life now who I'm so inspired by, who actually like make me want to be better, who is taking accountability over my life. You know, I think it's so easy to let pride and ego get in the way. I mean, and I come from a very, very competitive household. Like we compete over dinner.
Yeah.
I come from alpha males, you know, my dad, my brother, like if you're ever around us, like you just feel it. And so I think for me, I was always like bearing these things. I was letting pride and ego like take a hold of my life, and it was getting, my friendships and in my relationships. And, you know, I think for me, what the faith has allowed me to truly, like, I think, look at everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I was so consumed with myself at times, and, oh, this isn't affecting this person. I'm just thinking about me.
Yeah.
You know? I'm sure I haven't been perfect. I made my mistakes, but I have a whole new awareness of myself and how I want to move.
I think just with everything that we've been talking about, I do feel that there's a common thread of faith serving as this anchor for our life. And as we go through each day, knowing that, you know, the Spirit is with us and we get to work in tandem. So when it's, you know, you're trying to make friends or meet good people, something I didn't say earlier when we were talking about friendship and meeting people is my initial group of friends I actually made in LA through a Bible study. My parents knew a couple, Philip and Holly Wagner, who pastored a church out here called Oasis. It's now run by a guy named Julian, who's amazing. But their son, Jordan, I made friends with on Christmas Day. We were at their house, and he was living with a guy named Jason Kennedy. You guys know Jason?
I love Jason and Lauren.
He's the best. And I don't even see Jason or Jordan that much anymore. But at the time now, about 12, 13 years ago, they really included me into their friend
so
group.
sweet.
So church helped build your community.
It did.
Same
It was
with
all
me.
through a Bible study.
Same with you.
Well, it's now Church Home, but
You're right.
I was a part of Church Home when it was 20 people. We were in a living room.
Oh, wow.
And
Whoa, even before like the montage
it was
days.
pre-montage. It was at Jordan and Jason's
Whoa.
house. That was, you know, how I made my initial group of friends, and everything stemmed from that. So another way for people, if they want to meet friends or like meet good people, you're likely to meet them at a church because you're around maybe like-minded people, people who are seeking similar things to you.
I think one of my favorite parts, and we can close it up here in a second, about like the friendship thing is, and I think this is one of the things that you've had since you started going, is giving yourself grace. Like you're not your mistakes. Like you're not your past. You know, you may have made mistakes, but you're not a bad person. You know what I mean?
Well, you talk a lot about that in your book, about guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And those two things aren't necessarily the same.
I talked about that a lot, actually, and I did Jay Shetty's podcast.
Yeah,
when
I
the
saw
book
that. I
came
saw your
out,
interview with him,
and
yeah.
it said that there's a difference between guilt and shame. Brene Brown, I'm not sure if you guys know her, but she talks a lot about the power of vulnerability. She's an amazing speaker and author. And she says that shame is I am bad. Guilt is I've done something bad. Guilt is healthy. It helps you to be like, okay, I'm not going to do that again. That was a bad choice.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that way again. I'm not going to do that. Shame is I'm bad. There's something about me that if someone else sees it, I will not be accepted. And shame is heartbreaking because when you feel shame about who you are, you will go through life and it will come out sideways. It'll affect your relationships. It'll affect how you show up to work. It'll affect, you know, taking a risk. You'll always feel less than, and you will live a life totally out of your purpose when you listen to that shame. And so if anyone's listening and they are feeling shame, they do feel like they're a bad person, you've got to come against that. And that's where, again, you know, God comes in, because you start speaking scripture over yourself.
Well, I think it goes back to your rock sand analogy.
Yeah.
You know, when you're dealing with guilt and shame, if your foundation is built on sand, it's going to crush you.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
Those two things are going to take a hold of you,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to compound, and you're going to sit with it too much. When if you have your life built on a rock, you can steady that ship, right? Like you can man that storm, right?
You can.
Yeah.
And we get one life. It's one of the things I'm most passionate about, is seeing people live to their fullest potential. And so if you are feeling any of those things, and I've had to do this too in my own life, those certain things, I'm like, I don't like this or that about myself. I am going to work through that to the core, because I want to live life totally free. in my fullest essence. And you do that by coming against negative thoughts with scripture. I am not speaking those negative thoughts over myself. I'm going to come against that with scripture. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to let the presence of God heal my heart. I'm going to surround myself with people who are encouraging, who are full of life, who see the best. And you do that day by day, month by month, year after year. You'll look back and you will be so grateful that you did.
I mean, the energy and light that I feel like you exude shows. I feel like it radiates, you know, through just my first time meeting you and being around you. And I know I'll let Judah speak, but I'm so appreciative of you coming on and spending some time with us. And
Seriously,
you.
Sunshine Mind, Sunshine Guest.
yes,
Aw,
Like,
thank
that's
you.
the title
no,
for
for
yours.
real.
You are like a little just ball of
no,
light
you
and
radiate
energy.
it. Yeah, you radiate it. So
Thank you.
thank
We're
you
so
much.
grateful to have you on.
You
Really,
guys too. I
really
love that
awesome.
you're doing this. And
Thank
again,
you.
I love the name In Good Company. I can't wait to see all the continued success that you guys have.
Thank you.
You guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.